You just gotta move him. You just gotta move him. Hold the line. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of James and Will Talk About Street Photography a Lot. We need to come up with an actual name soon.
Yeah.
That'd be good. But anyway, today we're gonna talk about traveling today, which I'm really excited about. That I think that'll be a really fun topic. But another thing that I just want to touch on today. It was so awesome because why are you laughing already?
It's because I know where this is going.
No, you don't. You actually don't. See, it's actually completely different than what you're thinking. It was today I was on YouTube and I discovered. See, it's already going off in another direction, right?
I think it's gonna come back to him.
Is it gonna come back?
I think it's gonna come back to him.
If you know, it's gonna blow my mind because
Okay.
I
Right.
there's no way. I discovered 360 degree video. And have you seen this? You haven't seen
Oh wait, I think I have.
I've heard
actually.
of this. I haven't seen this.
Okay, so you've actually seen it.
I've heard all kinds of hype, but I had like this mentality of like, okay, I'll check it out sometime. Maybe it's like, maybe like kind of gimmicky or whatever. But I looked at it and it's incredible. It's absolutely amazing. Just how immersive it feels. And the way that they do it is your phone actually, like as you turn your phone, it moves with you. Because it uses the gyroscope in the phone, everything. And so the first video I watched was the Nicki Minaj Miley Cyrus interaction from a 360 degree camera, which was And then I watched another one that was like learning how to surf 360 degrees. You can like look all around you as this guy's talking. There was graphics flying up on the video. It was so good. And then I saw a live musical performance from a 360 degree camera. You could look at the crowd. It was so good. You could look at the crowd. You could look at the drummer. I like to watch the drummer the whole time, obviously, because I like to play drums. And you could just, like, there was this guy, he was spraying the crowd with a water hose. I think it was water. It was serious. I mean, it was really cool. So, anyway, speaking of travel, I don't know, that's you travel with
the 360.
Digitally. Yeah. So, that was cool. But anyway, we're going to talk about traveling today because we both recently took very lovely trips over to the West Coast. Our first time on the West Coast, in fact. And before we get into kind of talking about the trips a little bit, I want to kind of go over what I think traveling is very beneficial for a street photographer or street portrait photographer. Now, I'm not convincing anyone, right? Because I'm not convincing anyone to like, oh darn, didn't really want to go to Seattle or Japan.
But now I'm going.
But now I'm like, oh,
have to go. There's no other way around it.
Yeah, this has got to happen. Like that wasn't what's gonna happen here. But I guess maybe we can just talk about the benefits of one, bringing those principles back to here, meaning wherever you live. Trying to operate in that kind of mentality every day, which is really hard. I'm still trying to master that technique. But also, just being willing to travel just a little bit, like going to the city, the next city over.
Absolutely.
Right? Because I think that's incredibly valuable too. But the first thing that I wanted to touch on was I've learned that traveling, because I get into a place where I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone in a very consistent way the entire time. You got plans are changing and just it's a very different environment. It's new. You're like, you have the energy because your brain's forming these new, neuron patterns around being in a new place, and life's moving a little bit slower because you're experiencing a bunch of new things at once. It makes it easier for you to conquer your fears, so you go after, you actually push yourself through those uncomfortable situations that you would normally be like, oh, I don't want, and you see yourself conquer that fear, and that's a good thing. And so I try to bring that back to my everyday life. I think hopefully I'm sure you try to do that too,
Yeah.
to some degree.
Yeah, I think that's always like you want to have that same feeling you have when you're traveling.
Yeah.
You know, in your own city, like even if it means maybe walking around in a slightly different, or just trying to recapture that feeling for yourself and that like motivation.
Yeah.
And that desire to create, which can kind of stagnate when you're in the same place all the time.
Yeah. So very quickly, I want to go over I found a blog post about. It's called 5 Reasons Why Travel is Good for You, the positive psychology of travel. And I'm just going to go through these really quick because we have a lot of things to talk about, right? 6 minutes. So the first one was geographic distance leads to improved problem solving. And in parentheses, it says more creative and expansive problem solving. So kind of like what I was saying a second ago, you get out of your element, you're in a new place, your brain starts thinking more expansively.
Right, absolutely.
You start to have a more fluid approach to problem solving as opposed to this kind of like rigid, like, well, I tried this the other day and it didn't work, and
you're facing a new set of obstacles
or
environment, and thus you can't just rely upon what you always did.
Right, exactly, and so number 2, openness to experience builds skills and capacities. Exactly what I just said. I'm kind of amazing. I just knew this. Number 3, the expanded self. So that was what I was talking about kind of expanding your comfort zone. And it says, when we try new things on vacation, we develop more fluid and expansive self-concepts. Trying new things leads to thoughts like, if I can do this, what else can I do? And we develop new skills and capacities from navigation skills to, most importantly, feeling the fear and doing it anyway, which is what I was saying a second ago. Number 4, relaxation. Enough said. Number 5, curiosity and meaning in life, which I think is interesting because it's in street photography. I think this turns into you finding your passion in a deeper way for what you're trying to convey through your photos. Right. And then so that was all 5 of those. So first of all, did you hear anything in particular that was very interesting to you in your
I think
adventures,
especially for the travel stuff I did, it was definitely
hi wife
the challenge of a new environment. I couldn't just rely on places I normally photograph people, or I've shot in the same 2-mile stretch for a very, very long time. So I just kind of have a very set, organized routine that I go about.
Right.
And I think this really broke me out of that in that terms that I really had to think about the photo again, and it kind of almost brought me back to when I first started shooting, in the sense that
like when you were a little girl in Belgium.
Exactly, but it made but of course I did a better job now.
Oh, okay.
At coming up with new framing, because at the beginning it was like
it's like you start over, but you're like,
but at least you have some.
You're like a genius, what's the word? Oh my gosh, when a kid is like an amazing prodigy. You're a prodigy kid. Go ahead.
Exactly, I'm just a prodigy kid. That's what I am. So that was definitely a big area. There is also, I think, that idea of expanding out of your comfort zone too. And I think that links that, because like when you travel, even if you're in some beautiful, amazing new place, there's still a lot of challenges, specifically if we want to try it into street portraiture or street photography, right? Like where you go, the lighting may be a good bit different. Yeah. The times of day that work, the people you're dealing with, even if I didn't have a language barrier, but language barriers,
absolutely.
If you're going out of the country and you don't speak the language fluently. I think there's a lot of new criterion that come up that kind of push you against that wall. And like, I think the thinking creatively and getting out of your comfort zone are very interlinked, because I think a lot of the creative thinking comes out of that need to get out of your comfort zone. So I'd say those are the big areas for me.
I think without pushing yourself into fear and like just throwing yourself into those situations that scare the crap out of you, I think your creativity is greatly hindered.
Absolutely.
So you went to San Francisco. You had a lovely time there, climbed some hills, I'm sure.
Just a couple.
Swam in the oceans there, right? That's by the ocean, sort of?
It's right on.
Did you go to You didn't go to Alcatraz.
No.
We talked about that. No. Okay. Well, next time we have to go to Alcatraz. I'd love to go to Alcatraz.
Okay, we'll do it.
And then escape from Alcatraz.
I don't think they lock you up there anymore, James.
They don't?
Maybe you can pay for like the entire immersive experience.
I want the experience.
Where they keep you there for like a year.
Yeah.
And you have to try to escape.
Yeah, like I want to have to poop on the steel toilet in front of everybody. Like that whole thing is where that's just what traveling's about for me.
That's really getting you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
That's a good example of getting you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Pooping on a steel
Climbing
toilet.
through sewage pipes to get out and then swimming through the ocean across.
Shark-infested ocean with super strong rip tides and freezing cold water year
You know,
round.
there were people that escaped from there and they never found them. Like, they could still be alive.
Yeah.
Or they died. But if they made it, like, wouldn't that be crazy? What if they own, like, a donut shop in the middle of San Francisco? Nobody knows.
When did they close Alcatraz, though? They'd be pretty old, right? They're gonna be pretty old.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, okay. So, anyway, talk about your street photography experience in San Francisco.
All right. Well, it was super amazing.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Super amazing.
Anyways,
very good. I'm sorry. I'm being summoned. Super amazing.
I think she needs a computer.
Loggy. There we go.
And her computer,
And
James.
your
And the
computer.
computer,
I'm so
James.
sorry.
James, come on.
I'm so sorry. What kinds of people did you run into there, Will?
I ran into lots of characters. I think this has been my most colorful street photography, street portraiture in a long time. So that was nice. It was just a amalgamation of different and diverse characters.
You got some incredible shots.
Yeah, and I think it kind of also reopened my eye to what I shoot and what I like to shoot and what maybe makes for a good street portrait for me.
Oh,
and,
sure.
I had some people that were very expressive in front of the camera, and it made me want to try to get more of that out of my subjects.
Yeah.
Some of these people are just naturally that way, but it just lended a lot more to the images for me, and it made me realize I need to push into that boundary more.
Yeah.
So that was the big part of my trip. But we need to talk a little about James going to Seattle.
Oh yeah, I went to took a lovely trip to Seattle for a YouTube conference. That was a fantastic experience. Very busy experience. I had a lot of stuff going on, and so I didn't really get a lot of time to do a photo walk, but I did get a little bit of time. But actually, I was surprised. I had a lot of serendipitous kind of portraits that came up as I was going through, my stuff. So Seattle is freaking huge. Biggest city, probably the biggest city I've ever been to. I've been to Atlanta. I'm pretty sure it's bigger than Atlanta. Christina says yes. She is confirming today that it's bigger than Atlanta. Very massive, big city, not like New York City. Also very cultured, but not as cultured as a New York City or like a Miami, right? And so that, it was a really great, like you had your high class hipsters, your dirty hipsters, you had amazing street performers. I feel like we get the leftovers in the smaller cities because the street performers there are so good. I climbed up on a hill and I saw the cityscape. It was amazing. Got some really interesting portraits. Pike Place Market is off the chain. Original Starbucks, if you don't know. And it was an amazing, holy place. I love Starbucks.
The OG. The big OG.
The big OG. And or OS, really. The big OS.
But it's the OG. You don't call it the OS. It's the OG.
I'm sorry.
Right, Christina?
Did I offend you?
The big OG.
What?
Oh, that's not what you said.
We're not making that kind of video. Okay.
Thank you.
So I think it was the different kinds of people were very interesting, and I actually found myself venturing into a more candid approach as I was going about running around in the market. I was actually using people as frames because there were just so many people around. I was using people as frames to get shots of the people offering free samples. And I use people in the background for one of my portraits. I think kind of, making it feel like a crowded situation. Right. Will likes to have 0 people in his frames.
Which was a big challenge in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So I had to break that rule a little bit. But
Comfort zone.
That's important. Yeah, that's important in traveling. I mean, you come up against things that you're just not used to your environment. Even if the environment you're going to, and I'll say San Francisco is a much better street portraiture city than in Greenville. It just is. It's just like a massive cultural hub.
More
and there's
people
tons
to
of
choose
people.
from, for
yeah,
sure.
beautiful layouts and everything, and just all that. But there are new challenges that come with any city. Even if it's like the best place you've ever been, there's going to be some factors that you're going to have to adjust to quickly and not just be like, oh, I can't take any street portraits because it's too crowded, right? Like you could have been like, well, I don't want it to feel crowded, but instead you creatively solve the problem by using a lot of people's framing or using them to create an atmosphere of like a busy, bustling area.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, oh, I give up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And another thing that I found was in Seattle, it seemed like everybody was, pretty chill with like having a photo of them. It felt like I wasn't out of place there. I thought that was very interesting. I don't know if maybe it's a more common thing on the West Coast to have people just wandering around taking pictures of you.
I don't know. I don't know if it's just like an overall attitude, like a little bit less kind of focused on being in a more private sphere, and maybe it's just being in a bigger city. Like you're around a lot more people. Like you're not, you don't have 3 acres of land, right? In your house, and there's like 3 neighbors around you, and that's it. Everything's just very dense, and I think people are just used to, right? Like the public space is a public space, and I feel like sometimes in smaller cities they still feel like to photographers the public space is still a private space.
Yeah.
To some people.
Well, in the South, it's if somebody's taking a photo of you, they're like from the newspaper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's like a very distinct, and it's never for any sort of like, I do this because I like to do it. It's like if it's not your job, it's very peculiar to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had the exact same experience though in San Francisco in that regard.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a big takeaway I had from Seattle. I guess just as always, you do things that you don't normally do when you go out of town.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think it pushed me to see myself conquer some things, and candid shooting scares me more than anything, to be honest. Like I used to do it, and I was horrible at it. That actually scares me more than anything because I'm very much like feeling interaction, closeness. You know what I mean? And so candid, there I kind of put myself out there a little bit and kind of I was shooting pictures of people, and I think they knew I was there, and I was getting pretty close.
Yeah.
So it was a big challenge for me.
Yeah. Well, I think it also helps, right? Like there's those areas that you'd like to be better, and sometimes cities like that allow you the opportunity or force you into the opportunity to shoot more like that, and sometimes you can get over some of those feelings, and then when you come back, you can feel more comfortable doing it in your environment, even if your environment's more difficult to do it. Like I would say Greenville's a hard, candid city, just because we don't have the density.
Sure.
It's
harder, but I've seen
right.
harder.
It can definitely be harder.
Yeah.
But when you come back, it's like at least you had that kind of slightly less intense place to start.
Yeah.
And then you can come back to and say, well, it just really isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah. True. And I think the big thing is that it's like all of this is about figuring out how to think in a way that expands your comfort zone and helps you realize that your opportunities shrink and expand in line with your mindset about things. Totally.
Absolutely.
So anyway, that's all we have today. I think we're about to run out of time.
Yep.
I hope we brought you some value. Please leave questions if we can expand on this or any other topic. Like if you liked it, subscribe if you liked it that much.
If you're going on a trip, tell us about it.
Tell us about your trips.
Tell us where we need to go.
Yeah. We'll talk about travel more in the future too as well.
Yeah, and if you have any specifics that we didn't touch on at all, just let us know.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
We want to touch your specifics.
We do not want to touch your specifics at all. James wants to, let's just clear this up. James wants to touch your specifics. I'm staying very far away from them. I'm staying a comfortable personal zone difference away, and we're about to run out of time. So we are going to, here we go, James. Bye, guys.
Oh, gosh.